Go.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Unity Church of Boerne. As we prepare to begin, we always ask you to please turn off your cell phones, put them away for the remainder of the service. My name is Ann King. I'm your worship assistant today. And in addition to having David Rosenblatt providing the music.
Back second week in a row.
Okay, Joe Dominguez will be our usher. David's in charge of the PowerPoint, and Leanne is taking care of the video. So we're good to go. And I want to thank Marie and Sherry for taking care of and distributing the prayer requests that we turn in. I think they're prayed for a week by our own prayer circle. They're also submitted to Silent Unity, where they are prayed over for 30 days. And you will notice in your bulletin there are activities listed. There are live activities, plus there's a lot of stuff going on Zoom. And if you have any questions, you can ask about that. That's also on our website too. And I would like to remind you, you're always welcome to take the insert out of the order of service, and it's got a lot of stuff on that, but leave the jackets because we use them over for a month, and then last day of the month you can have the jackets too. We also have a complimentary January and February daily word. If you don't have one, we've still got 3 weeks in January, in February, I think. And today we're having lunch at Shanghai. We have a big crowd. We had 17. I went ahead and made reservations for 19, and I've seen a couple of people come in, plus we had one iffy one. So if you want to go, please tell me immediately after church so I can just call and tweak and they have enough seats for everybody, because when you have a table that long, sometimes there's no room to pull up anything else. So we're always taking dry goods and toiletries, and that basket is right outside the door, the front door you come in. We do that always. We make a special effort on potluck day, but any types of food that are dry goods, that are non-perishables, and also things like toothbrushes, toothpaste, any kind of things like that. We distribute them to the people in our community. And always on Sunday, prior to church, from 9:30 to 10:30, we have a book study in that room over there. We're doing Wherever You Go, There You Are, and it's John Kabat-Zinn, and it's about mindfulness. It's been really interesting. So you can join at any time. You don't have to read ahead. We read a little bit, we talk. We read a little bit, we talk. We might talk more than we read. So if you're here for the first time, is anybody here for the first time? No, everybody I recognize. Okay, so doesn't matter if you're here for the first time. If you're not here for the first time, but you're having any trouble getting emails of notices and everything, there is a book on the desk back there where you can put your name and your email address so that you get we don't spam you, but we do. Patricia does send out what's coming up, usually on Thursday, what's coming up this Sunday. And then once a month is a newsletter, and every once in a while is a special announcement of some kind. So, and you can take your name off that list anytime you want. We do have our website, unityofboerne.org, if you want any more information. So, we're ready to start. Stand up. We're going to sing Love is the Answer.
So the thing is, one might ask, what's the question first? Does it really matter? But we know what the answer is, right? Love is the answer. Love is the answer. Love is the way. Love is the answer. Love is the answer. Love is the way. Joy is the answer. Joy is the answer. Joy is the way. Joy is the answer. Joy is the answer. Joy is the way. Let's do love one more time. is the answer. Love is the answer. Love is the way. Love, love, love is the answer. Love is the answer. Love is the way.
Thank you.
Very much.
Please be seated. I was going to say one more announcement that I forgot, and it was a last minute thing, but John and Patricia, hold up your hand. Patricia has a whole bunch of keeper grains, water keeper and milk keeper. If you do any fermenting or make any of that kind of stuff, she's got a bunch of stuff to give away, so talk to her. Okay. All right. Inside your bulletin, there's a prayer request form, and when the offering goes around a little bit later, for some reason we have the prayer box up here, you can, well, when we do the prayer, I'll take the offering down when I go, the prayer request and put it in the back. But when it goes around, if you write down your prayer request now, you can drop them in the box before it gets up here to Jay to do the blessings and stuff. And now we're saying, Gulley, you ready for the daily word? Yes. Yes.
As we quietly and intently prepare for the reading of the daily word, remember that we're in spirit with millions of daily word readers and churches throughout the world. The Christ candle is lit as a reminder of the Spirit of God within all of us, which we call the Christ within. The word for the day is determination. The affirmation is, my determination takes me far. In my person's life, there will be times of ease and times of struggle. And the tough times, it's natural to feel discouraged and tempted to give up on plans and dreams. When discouragement sets in, I remember I'm fully human and fully divine, a spiritual being endowed with many divine gifts. I fortify myself by invoking my innate qualities of strength and power. They give me the determination to keep going and to stay the course. I can use my body and mind to accomplish what I set out to do. And I also know there is more to me than that. The attributes of God are mine to use. I believe in myself and move forward with determination. And the scripture comes from 1 Thessalonians 2:8. So deeply do we care for you that we're determined to share with you not only the gospel of God, but also our own selves. Because you have become very dear to us. The affirmation, if you want to say it with me, my
determination takes me far.
My name is Ann Gulley, and thank you for worshiping with us today.
Thank you, Ann. I want to remind you, too, if you would ever like to volunteer to read the daily word, to be the worship assistant, to open the church, to close the church, anything like that, we can always use volunteers. And we appreciate all the people that do volunteer and help us out a little bit. So if you will stand, we will have our joy song, Sweet Hour of Prayer.
I thought we did the miracle moment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, we'll do the song first. I don't care. I'm just looking at this. Sweet hour of prayer, sweet hour of prayer, unfolded in the presence rare of one who fills with truth and light, the one who works with wondrous might. The stillness of his silent hour brings peace and will and conscious power. The time of silence is to me eternal joy and harmony. Sweet hour of prayer, sweet hour of prayer, in love with God everywhere. The universe is but the whole of all that is in man's pure soul. Through Christ the truth I now behold, the brotherhood of man unfold. Man thinks his loving thoughts and feels the beauty Christ the truth reveals. Sweet hour of prayer, sweet hour of prayer, into the secret place repair. I feel that quickening life of thine, and know that thine is also mine. The light of truth is now revealed. I sing with joy, for I am healed. The glory of the Lord I've seen at one with him. My death serene.
Thank you, David. Our PowerPoint was kind of messed up.
That's a lot of words in that one, too.
Remain standing. We're going to have our
Patriarchal men.
mission statement. We're going to have our mission statement. The miracle moment was not on here either, so do we need to go back and do the miracle? Okay, all right. So right now we'll do the mission statement.
Yes.
Together.
Unity of Boerne, spiritual community, Christ saves space for personal growth. We honor and celebrate the Christ within all people.
Thank you. Please be seated, and I'm going to turn it over to Jay now for the blessing of the
Good morning to every one of you. Good morning. I have good news this morning. I'm just overflowing with it because there's always the good news that we're here on Sunday morning and what we talk about on Sunday morning. But I'd like you to know that, through you all being who you are, I've been informed by our denomination that we are a 5-star church again for the eighth year in a row. And our reach, even though we may be, physically small in number here, we're going out everywhere, and it's making a difference. And I am just thrilled about that. I love what we're doing online. I would like to tell you before I get into the prayer and we get into settling down for that, we do have a book study on Monday night that's really cool. And I'd love to see you all take part in it. We've got one of our resident mystics here, Javier Cortines, who he knows this stuff real well. We're studying Yogananda's book right now. And when I'm not there, I feel real comfortable. The few times I've not been there, turn it right over to him. He's very interested in it. Shows. I'd love for you all to come Monday night, and about our Course in Miracles Wednesday night and our Path Lighters on Thursday night. So I want you all to give yourself a hand for what we are for the 8th year in a row. This is a time that we come together and remember who we are, and I'd like you to repeat after me. I am as God created me.
I am as God created me.
I am a being of power.
I am a being of power.
And the presence of the Christ radiates within me now.
And the presence of the Christ radiates within me now.
And so it is.
So it is.
Now we come to that time in our service where we uphold the things that we have on our mind in prayer and meditation. I ask you to take, a deep breath, even right now, before you may even write it down. That you center yourself, that you feel your feet on the floor, your hands in your lap. Whatever your posture of prayer is when you can't lie down, obviously, but when you're upright, it's up here. So And I would like to say that again, and I made a decision to do this for as long as it takes. I want to see our country upheld in unity and love, and divisions healed, and hatred cease. And I think all of us feel that same way. And sometimes things get more difficult before they get better. You know, the dark before the dawn. But I know this, what we talk about here, what we pray about, think about, we bring about, and I know what we're about. We're about love. And so that's the mightiest force in this world, in this universe, of any place. So I invite you to think about what it is you would like to uphold in prayer this morning and write it on a slip of paper as the prayer box comes forward. It's in the middle of your bulletin. The prayer slip, if you prefer to hold it in your consciousness, doesn't matter. The Spirit within knows all, sees all, hears all, and is your very grounded being. So as the prayer box comes forward, as Maria brings the prayer box forward, I want to remind you that these prayers that you insert in the box or hold in your mind are prayed over by our own prayer team, and it's dedicated and loving. It's prayed over by me, and then it's sent to Silent Unity, where it's prayed over for 30 days. And I personally hold intentional prayer at a certain time during the week, during my own time. So you're getting prayed up here, and because we believe in that. So I ask you, if there is anything that is troubling you this morning, release it now into the love, the ocean of God's care. Thank you, Maria. Our loving and infinite presence, by light that we live, by your light that we live, we know that there are all manner of requests that are represented in this box. We know that we don't have to beg or plead. We know it is your good pleasure to give us the kingdom and all that's in it when we release our earthbound ideas and cares and relax into your Spirit. We give thanks that these prayer requests receive your perfect will right now. To those who are open to it, we ask that you touch those that need it this morning with your wonderful, wonderful healing grace, the wonderful presence of who you are and therefore who they are. We ask that everything good and wonderful and powerful be given those who request it right now, and that there is a remembrance of who we all are in truth, and that there is nothing we can do and no place we can go that will separate us from you. We release any sense of separation right now and relax into your presence. We give thanks that this is so. Amen.
Healing the divisions of the love you are. I'm singing somewhat about that. And speaking of rising up to the love you are, you know how when you go on this, if you don't have premium on like YouTube and other services, and you have these little ads at the beginning, here's mine. There's some stickers back there. You guys are welcome to take them. Please do. Rise Up Through Love. I had stickers made for that new song that I released that I talked a lot about last week. And there's some new cards back there that have the QR codes and an important message on it too. If you guys wouldn't mind checking that out. And please take a sticker. They're good for like, your car, or if you have a guitar case like me, things like that. So nice. Anyway, I'm not going to do the song today because you can just listen to it online. It sounds a lot better. I'm going to do a song called Love in Action. And the 3 words are important because if you made it 2 words, it'd have a really weird meaning. Love in action is not what we want. We want love in action. This is a song that I wrote a few years ago, but I've since updated. It's about climbing out of your comfort zone in your life and not just being good thoughts and being things, but doing things, taking that love that you are into action in the world. And it's great to be and do all that thing, but you got to sometimes take it in action. And this is what I call love in action, the 12 powers version. I've kind of rewritten this song with all the 12 powers in mind. So you can play a little game and catch them when they come through here. In the midst of his children, the Lord said he would be. It doesn't take very many. It can be just 2 or 3. And I feel the same sweet spirit. I I felt all times before. Surely I can say I've been with the Lord. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel His mighty power and His grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel His mighty power and His grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
This is the time in our service when we remember who we are. I invite you to take a deep breath and envision yourself full of light. Rest right now. This is your time of recreation. Not only rest, recreation, but affirmation of who you really are. I'm going to say a few words and then we'll go into the silence. My good is complete. It is finished. It is now here and is conscious of me and of mine. I do not have to wait for my good. It is at hand and ever ready to spring forth and express itself to me. I accept my good and gladly acknowledge it to be my daily companion. My good is mine now. I can see it, I feel it, and I know it. And in the upcoming silence, we are healed. We gently bring our awareness back to this present moment. We affirm that everything that we thought in this moment of silence, everything we wanted to embody, is done right now. Through us, for us. And we arise from this moment of meditation relaxed and confident and sure of who we are. And so it is. Amen.
Hallelujah.
Well, good morning again. Good morning. Let me ask you a question. Does anybody know what today is? Can you raise your hand up?
Today is the first day of it.
That's right. You thought I was gonna mess around and talk about the Super Bowl. We did. Really, it's maybe said a lot, but it's true. Today is the first day of the rest of your life. And the rest of your life is what I want to talk about this morning. Not in number necessarily of years, but in a way of being that allows you to walk through the storms that we all have, and we all go through in one way or another, with a sense of peace. You know, the old churches talked about peace amidst the storm. Jesus calmed the waves in the midst of the storm. And today, in the modern day world, we're asked to see more things, go through more things, I think, than we ever have. The advent of social media has been, I think, a plus and a minus. Seems like there's always a trade-off. But we have so much information that comes to us right away in such a short period of time, and the processing of it can seem to go on and on. We're not finished with one thought before we're thinking another. Somebody else is giving an opinion about the opinion we just heard. We don't even know what our opinion is yet. I mean, sometimes we're hearing so much that we have to step back and think about it. And through the lens of what we think about is what I want to talk to you about this morning, in the sense of how you are able to process your life and the things that happen, and the storms or the showers or whatever that come in any form or fashion you want to say it. We all have them. What do you do on this first day of the rest of your life thinking about this? How many of you have gone through things that you think you've never, ever been able to get through? I'm sure we all have had some of that. Things that you would have gladly traded if possible. One thing that I can tell you that I know for certain about this is that the more grounded we are, the more we hear the truth about who we are, the more we accept ourselves for who we are. And remember, God only knows the truth about you. God didn't create anything incomplete and imperfect, because God can only create as itself. The imperfections, the things that we hold against ourselves, are all from down here. You're not loved because of your behavior. You're loved because of who you are. Somebody needs to hear that this morning. Somebody's been oppressed. Somebody's been hurt. Somebody's been pushed down with an idea that they're not enough. And one of the things that I like to say about remembering that you're loved is that the words of our master teacher, Christ Jesus, the kingdom is within you. And if you seek that first, all these other things will be added unto you. So what do you think seeking the kingdom first looks like? Does it look like someplace you have to go? As they say, to and fro, back and forth. Is there something you have to do? Is there somebody's approval you have to receive? Is there something you have to forgive yourself or others for? What do you need to do to feel good about who you are? The first thing you have to do is release the thought that you are less than what I just mentioned. A child of God that knows not how to create anything unlike itself. Now, down here, we have certain tapes. You know, Freud, the great psychiatrist, talked about this. We hear things that our mothers and fathers say. We build complexes around it. He had words like superego and ego and so forth like this. But basically what it was is we're sponges as children. And sometimes we hear what our parents say or those that are in charge of us, and it's not just some things that are rough. We really take it in and then add our own opinion to it. And when they're not in our lives anymore, we take up what they left off. In other words, the self-criticism can go on and on. What kind of rest is that to live in? What kind of peace is that to live in? You can't. And that's why we come together on days like these to celebrate the truth of who we are. Do you really think any one of you, and even my friends that look in on us that have said they go to a fundamentalist church, do you really think that you need to hear this morning how bad you are, how negative you've been, and God is plenty angry at you? You really think that, what, let me ask you this. If you went to a therapist and heard that, if you went to a counselor and heard that, you'd walk the other way. You'd probably run the other way. But there are millions upon millions of people that accept this version of God. If you do it this way, in this situation, the way I'm saying it, you'll make it forever. If not, you can literally go to hell. And you know there are people that are throwing their lives into hell before they ever pass away. Because they've accepted a critical truth, or two, or 5, or 100, about who they are. Good spirituality, I think, is really about remembering who we are. If I know all the metaphysical musings and all the data and all the formula and all these things, but I don't know who I really am in the truth, then I'm really shortchanging myself. I have a right, you have a right to feel good about who you are. Does that mean that you feel good about the mistakes you've made? Does that mean that you're just happy that maybe you hurt somebody or somebody hurt you? Doesn't mean that at all. What it means is you're able to forgive them and forgive yourself. You are what we say in this new thought about you. I am a child of the Most High, who is omniscient, omnipresent, and all-powerful. And I accept that right now. Now you can sit back and rest in that. If you really accept it. But if you give intellectual assent to it without feeling it, then you'll say, you'll mouth the words, and you may try to convince yourself for a while, but you'll say, you know, I've tried this stuff and it falls flat. It falls flat because we don't really want to go inside and see what we are. It's not just about the things we've done. Go past those things. Go past the things that you wish you hadn't done or somebody had done to you. Go past them. Pierce that and then find out what was their motivation perhaps and what was yours and how did that come together and for what reason. Don't lose in your own mind. I want to say that again. When you are processing things about yourself and you're meditating and the Spirit is upon you and you may be journaling, you may be talking to a therapist, whatever it may be, counseling. When it's all said and done, don't lose in your own mind. In other words, see that everything that's happened had something to teach you about who you are. A reminder of the powerful Creator that you are, that you get to be, that God knows of you right now. But this is a world of comparison. This is a world of approval seeking. This is a world where you get what you earn, so to speak, or sometimes you don't. And there's the Joneses to keep up with, and there's this, that, the other. We keep score in such an arbitrary way. And we forget who and whose we are. Now the rest of your life, I'm going to tell you, just jump ahead real quick and tell you how you get there. The rest of your life, and the rest I'm talking about, the peace of your life comes from one thing to begin with: non-judgment. And the antecedent to that is forgiveness. Let me back up and say, forgiveness, and if you forgive yourself and other people, then you can enter into this area of non-judgment. And you can start slow. It doesn't have to be the worst thing you've ever had in your life, but the non-judgment says, if I have been the other person, or I have been in this situation, could I have done maybe something like was done to me? Now, let's walk carefully through this. It's understanding the motives, or attempting to understand the motives of those who have perhaps given you the most lessons to learn in your life. You know, when you do that, even if you can't get a satisfactory answer, when you do that, you're attempting to open up and join with your brother. You're really loving your neighbors yourself. It's not just about putting money in a dish once a week or sending a check someplace. Joining together is about trying to understand the motivation that is part of this human ego. And to know that in truth, you're not part of it. You're here for a very brief time. There's a dash. You know, there's a number of, when you're born and a number when you die, the dash is your life. And during that time, doesn't it make sense to you to try and understand the point of view of those who have been our biggest teachers and taught us seemingly the most painful lessons? What happens when you do that? You take the heat out of it. Your victim story begins to shrink. You become a little more powerful. You walk a little straighter. You draw your chin in and you feel a little better. And you say, I've joined the human race. I'm not separate. I may not do what they do, but I'm not apart from that. I'm part of this mind that surrounds this planet with energy and vibration. And I'm going to be forgiving those things I don't understand and forgiving those things that I went through that I've learned to understand, trying to see the motives of the person that taught me the lesson. That doesn't mean that you approve of it. Doesn't mean that you're happy with it. Doesn't mean anything. Acceptance is just that. You accept and you try and learn. Some of the people, I had a situation in high school, and it was really an adult situation at the time, but I didn't know it, and I don't think I've ever shared this with you. When I came from junior high and had played some football, and I wanted to play football in high school, so I had some plans, and I was a freshman, and I was walking down the hallway one day, and there were some upperclassmen that were juniors or seniors, and they came toward me, and they had a toothbrush in their hand, and the emblem for the Alamo Heights Mules was right down close to me. And they looked at me and said, "You're Mulkey." And I said, "Yeah." And so you got to take this toothbrush right here and you're going to scrub this. And you're going to scrub it till it's clean until we say so. And I said, "Or?" And he said, "We're going to beat the you-know-what out of it." I said, "Well, I know this. And I don't know that I said it this exact way. I know that somebody's not going to be happy with this because, you know, it's 3-on-1 and I'm going to give the best I've got. So if you want to do this, you know, I don't know which one of you, but I had to prepare myself to defend myself. How many times are we actually called to do that in life? We're defending ourselves against words and thoughts and ideas, but every now and then there comes something like this. I wasn't about to scrub that emblem with a toothbrush, and I didn't. And I told him I wouldn't. And I said, "Look, and what's more, you don't want to beat anybody up. The principal's office is right there." I just started doing like that. These were big guys. You know, the interesting thing about that is that 2 of those guys became buddies of mine 3 years later. Why would I want to be friends with guys like those? Well, they were in sports. I wanted to be in sports, and I wanted to get along in high school. Did it mean that I enjoyed what they did? No. But it meant that I took a stand for myself, and then later on in my life, I decided to find out what could be their motivation. Do I have an inner bully? Have I ever tried to push my way? Have I ever looked at somebody coming toward me and say, "You better do it my way, or the hell with you"? Then I'm not so different, maybe, in that way if I've done that. I don't think I have, but I'm heir to the human condition. There may be thoughts that I've held in my mind. You see, the form doesn't matter, it's the content. And when you get into the content, the form takes care of itself. I sought to understand those guys, and I ended up getting along with them, ended up playing ball for the school. That was a good ending, so to speak. But what about the endings that we have of ourselves when something comes into us where we're not necessarily forced to defend ourselves physically? We're defending ourselves against what the onslaught of what somebody else is saying. You better, you should, you could have, go down the line. And we base our opinion on some opinion of ourselves on somebody who has a concept of themselves that needs to tell other people what to do. In other words, hurt people hurt people. And if you don't want to hurt this morning, there's a real simple way around this. If you really don't want the pain of hurt, you could say, I give up the need to feel hurt. Think about the identity that we get in hurt. I'm not saying bypass it. I'm not saying to spiritually stuff it. I'm saying that there is an identity that comes in receiving a hurt. How long do we want to hold on to that identity? How long before we reclaim our power? At the most, at the least, I can change my mind about what's in front of me. I can see those guys that day. I can see as clearly as my mind right now. And I can see those guys so full of fear. They had to bluster. They had to bully. They had to do all those things in order to get into the in group. And a couple of years later, I got into that in group. And it wasn't anything great. It was all right. You got to hang out in what was called a mule stall. You got free soda. You got free food if you played on a sports team. That was fine. I liked the girls. That was nice. They hung out there and they liked to date guys that were in sports. But it wasn't that big a deal. Everybody wanted to be a part of it. You know what I really like? I had an Oldsmobile 442 Cutlass. It was beautiful. Oh boy, that was 72. That car was great. I like to go out and put the tape deck in and ride. That was what lit me up. It wasn't necessarily hanging out with people that we all agree with one another and we're all scared to be different. I did what I wanted to do in Lord Car. And I'm telling you, for the rest of your life right now, you can have that same feeling if you make a decision that, and this is the hard part, you say to yourself, well, if I do that, they get away with it. Well, haven't they gotten away with it already? You're just adding your opinion to it. It's done. What they did is finished. Now you're adding your opinion. And you could say, either I grow and I try and understand the motivations of my brothers and sisters, which is what true Christianity at base is about, in large part. Or do I hold on to this identity and let it define me? And by God, I'm going to take this with me. I'm going to carve a lesson out of this. And I'll never, ever let anyone, myself most included, forget what happened. I'm going to show this in everything I do. In other words, the hurt drives it. Hurt people hurt people. Could you be, just for this moment, could you entertain the idea of the fact that you're innocent? And could you entertain the fact that your brother or sister is innocent? Ooh. I am as God created me. Those guys that wanted me to scrub the floor with a toothbrush. The person that hurt you. The parent that didn't understand or was missing. The husband or wife that walked out on you. Can you get into there, behind their eyeballs a little, and see the motivation? There's some people, well, there was one person who said, she looked at me and said, I love you so much. For a year, she looked at me and said, I love you so much. What was the difference? One was romantic, passionate. The other one was like, whew. It was kind of faded. It's kind of gone. And it hurt. Well, things do hurt. But you get the deciding vote on what you're going to do with what hurts. My feeling, my way in ministry and counseling has always been the oyster way. Build a pearl in that grain of sand. Build a string of them. What do you think this life is for if not forgiveness and love and understanding? Do you really think it's about pointing fingers and guns at each other? They talk about us not being socially having social justice ideas in metaphysics. That is an absolute lie. I've got it all the time, but I see it. I don't want to talk about it because that's just going to push people away or get my side this and that side that. I see it in my mind. I want to see people cooperating and understanding because you first have to see it to be it. And we have to collectively see it to be it. I want to speak to your better angels this morning. I want to speak to that place in you that the old Unity people talked about, that Christ in me salutes the Christ in you. I'm talking above human conflict. Do you think that emblem that I had to brush with a toothbrush, if I had done it, do you think that's really what it was about with me? Absolutely not. It was, who are they doing this? I'm just a freshman here. Why would they pick on me? I got small. Instead of seeing that they were fearful and not buying into all that stuff but what do you know? How do you know this at 16 years old? You got to live some. So then you revisit it in your mind. And you start healing those things that are driving you today. We did it in meditation just now. We do it at Pathlighters. We do it. I love the idea of the power of 8. I'm trying in Pathlighters for us to do the power of 8. You know, Lynn McTaggart's book where we hold intentional meditation and prayer for those who need it. But also hold those prayers for those who may not like you and say they don't want it. Because I'll tell you this, it doesn't take a lot to love the people that are like you. But to love those that don't smell good and who have kicked the sand in your face, that's something. Where you're growing so much when you do that. Forgive others as you have been forgiven. Wasn't that the Christ message on the cross? And really, don't our lives work better when we do that? Have you really ever seen a resentful, angry person that comes to any point in their life and they can honestly say, I'm happy? I don't see that. But those who have made it their mission to forgive and to love and to understand, they're the ones, they're not immune from the blows of life. They're immune from their own opinions about what should be, what could have been. Life happened. That's true. You make the decision about it. This is how I ask all of us to come together. Not under the guise of some God that is throwing thunderbolts at us and we've got to appease. I ask us to come together in the name of the truth we all share and believe in, and try and understand the motivations of others. If nothing else, it's an interesting mental exercise, but at best, you might learn some things not only about them, but about yourself. And when you do that, when you really, really have got the answers for you, they're yours. They haven't come from any place else. One of the hardest things to do in this world is to think. To think. That's why so few people do it. They follow and they follow it. Today I ask you to be the leader of your own life, for the rest of your life, for the peace of your life. And that's what you'll have to give away. I see that happening in each one of your lives and those who are tuning in. And right now, I declare this is so. Amen. Amen. This is a time in our service where we're privileged to give back a portion of what we've received. And as I told you earlier, there's so much going on in our church. And your tithes and your donations make it possible. For those of you that are tuning in by our Facebook or YouTube or whatever, you can press the PayPal button. I think it is paypal.me temporarily, that's where you go. If not, I'll find that out and change it. We're in transit or not transit, we're in a state of flux with our webpage and our donation button. But if you prefer to send a check, that would be well appreciated. You can send it to Unity of Boerne, P.O. Box 1973, Boerne, Texas 78006. Again, that's Unity of Boerne, P.O. Box 1973, Boerne, Texas 78006. As it says in Malachi 3:11, bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, and see if the Lord will pour you out a blessing where there's not room enough to contain it. Wow, big words, big promises. Accept them now. Thank you.
Freely, freely I receive, freely, freely I'll give. Divine love through me blesses all that I am, all that I give and receive.
Together with open hearts and open minds and receptivity, we say, divine love
through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I send it forth with my blessings and my love.
And so it is.
Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? Circle up. Are we there? There is honor and in the let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, and we all we. Let us walk each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Together we say, the love
Love God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Yeah.